going on, everybody? I'm Noah from PhoneDog.com, and it's the dogfight to end all dogfights. Well, not really, because there's always going to be another one. But for right now, it's the battle, the summer blockbusters, and to me, these are the two biggest dogs on the block. The HTC Droid Incredible from Verizon and the Apple iPhone 4 from AT&T. Oh, both devices, just to be fair. Both devices having their issues, but I think the Droid Incredible is more reliable. You know, out of these two phones right now, the Droid Incredible is a more reliable device because of the combination of, you know, it doesn't have the mission critical bugs in terms of losing connectivity and that kind of thing, and Verizon's a more reliable network where I am. That being said, when iPhone 4 works, it works really well, and the voice quality actually, when the signal's strong, has been really, really good. I was very shocked. The dual microphone setup, noise canceling, works really well. I guess the new antenna setup might have something to do with it as long as you're not, you know, holding it in that one spot. So the voice quality has been really good when it's worked well, but the Droid Incredible has been a more consistent performer in terms of getting a good signal every time. And so now, you know, the discussion really turns more to the software and the ecosystem and all that stuff. Both phones are very fast. Qualcomm Snapdragon processor in the Droid Incredible, Apple's proprietary chip in the iPhone 4, but both are very, you know, very responsive. I showed you. We'll go back to the internet for a second. I showed you, you know, with the, you know, the pinching and zooming and that kind of thing. You know, the iPhone a little bit smoother, perhaps a little bit more responsive, but also I was brushing the Droid with my fingernails there. You know, Apple kind of has the touchscreen interface with the software just hammered down like nobody else. But both phones, you know, very responsive. But you get then to the operating system and which one do you prefer? You know, what suits your needs, that kind of thing. And you know, I think it all, without getting into a whole Android versus iPhone OS or iOS now debate, because that's something you know will never end. Basically, it kind of comes down to a couple things for me. The iPhone hasn't changed much in terms of the operating system since it was first released. The App Store is a huge deal. They make a point of making things very simple to do. The FaceTime calling is very easy to access, you know, on the device, which is a nice little piece of integration. They added folders now. Folders have been on Android forever. You know, they added the multitasking, which is, you know, kind of limited backgrounding with fast app switching, and then you get, you know, one widget currently. You can call up your iPod widget. Hello. Oh, crash! Another crash on camera. Nice. Huh. So, for some reason, the iPod does not want to function. Interesting. Buggy. All right. But the point was going to be, you know, there's one widget available on the iPhone, the iOS, and from the lock screen, you can't really do much except, you know, folders and apps, and then you've got the new universal search, but that only lets you search local content. It doesn't. But then you've got the, you know, the new universal search thing, so I could search for. And then, you know, I can go down to the bottom, I can search the web, I can search Wikipedia. On the Droid Incredible, you know, you've got many more options in terms of widgets. I've got a picture frame widget, I've got a weather widget, I've got, you know, the HTC Mail widget on that screen, I've got this Google Search widget, which also has voice control, my calendar widget, you know, power settings, you can download all kinds of widgets. So you have a lot more flexibility, a lot more power to customize the device, particularly from the home screens. Also, there's the notifications bar. You know, we've talked about it forever now, but Apple doesn't really have the modern notification system. They have when you have an event that happens, you get a badge that pops up over the top of the screen. With Android, you've got notifications that, you know, happen in the status bar, and you can pull the phone down and get to your notifications and deal with them or save them for later. So to me, it's sort of you know, the sort of simplicity and style of the iPhone versus, you know, a UI that with Google Android, they kind of started from, you know, building the UI and putting features and making it open and extendable, and now they're working more on the user interface, and it's definitely come along. You you know, not to me, still not quite as candylicious as the iPhone, but very similar in a lot of ways. But then you can also do things, you know, we'll take a look real quick at voice control here, because this was something I was showing actually to some friends the other day who are older than me, kind of, you know, my parents' generation age, and I was showing, they wanted to know how to web search on phones. And so I was showing them, you know, on the iPhone, you know, you type it in, but on the Android phone, you can either type something in or you can just do the voice command. PhoneDog, Adrianna, Sydney, Aaron. And so, you know, you can run the, it didn't get Adrianna, it got Adrian. Oh, Adrianin, I see, okay, yeah. But, you know, you can search directly, you can search contents of the phone, or you can go directly to Google, you know, Google web search via the voice control. You can also do the, you don't even have to go to that screen, you just hit the search button on this phone, and you can go to navigate to frozen yogurt. I always do the same searches, but, you know, and that'll kick me into Google Navigation. It'll find the nearest frozen yogurt shop. And, you know, that's the kind of thing where there definitely is an advantage on the Android platform. And not only is it, you know, kind of geeky power and everything, but actually when I was showing it, you know, to these folks the other night, and I showed them you can just hit the button and speak, once they got the hang of it, they, you know, they thought it was pretty cool. And I could see some people doing that instead of typing. Of course, you can still type. Speaking of typing, both phones, you know, like I said, have responsive touch screens, plenty of power, you know, all of that. The iPhone remains one of the easiest phones to touch type on, in my estimation. It has been from the beginning, and like I said, Apple really just nailed it in terms of screen responsiveness combined with the software. I actually like Android's and HTC's keyboard, combination of software with the keyboard and the user dictionary a little bit better. So when you type, I'll just show you, you know, you can type in the quick, I can't talk and type unless I'm saying the same thing. So you can type in, you know, portrait mode or tip the phone, turns into landscape mode, and we'll do the quick, brown, fox, jumped. And so there, I typed something incorrectly. I left the U out of jumped, and it gives me impede. And so I can hit space, and it'll use the correction it made. Or I can, we'll get this out of there. Well, all right, so it didn't do it that time. It'll, you know, suggest something, and if I want to ignore it, I can just tap on it and it'll go away. And then I can go back now, and if something's underlined in red, I can tap on it, and it'll give me replacements if it has them. On the Droid Incredible, if I'm typing, again, I can type in landscape mode, and you can see, you know, I have it turned on to do the suggesting, you know, the autocomplete suggestions, and they come up as I'm typing. And so if I type something incorrectly, whoops, the quick, brown, and then we'll turn this into widescreen mode so you can see fox. And let's just say instead of jumped, I type jumpif. Now I can choose between all these different selections. The suggested one is highlighted in green. So if I just hit spacebar, it'll give me the suggested one. And let's say over is the next word, and instead of typing over, I hit OVW. If I wanted to keep OVW, or OVU, or whatever that is, I just hit it, and now it's saved into the dictionary, which I've always really liked that feature in the HTC Android phones and Android in general, that it's much easier to add words to your custom dictionary. With iPhone, you've always had to do these kind of workarounds and stuff, which I don't like so much. And then, of course, you have the text to, or the speech to text option. So hit the button. The lazy sheep dog. Well, all right, not 100%. It's nice in theory. It doesn't always work. I'm also kind of far away. Let's give it one more try. The lazy sheep dog. That's better. Lazy sheepdog. Sheepdog being one word, but that's fine. So I kind of like that, you know, Android's, the plan of the way text entry happens on the Droid Incredible, the concept, the game plan, I like better. The execution, a little bit better on iPhone. That is, the actual touch typing on iPhone is better. Landscape and portrait, it's better. It's one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. Those new 4-inch phones are pretty easy to type on, but iPhone 4 even better than the iPhone 3S before it. But the actual software, I think, is a little bit better on Android. And, again, the speech recognition thing. And then, of course, you can replace the keyboard if you want to get in, under the hood, so to speak, with Android. There are all kinds of keyboard replacements out there. And people tell me all the time that the keyboard replacements are better than the HTC keyboard or the stock Android keyboard. But, for now, I'm just reviewing the phone as is to say, nod to the iPhone on touch typing, more flexibility with the user dictionary, speech to text, and then, of course, replacement keyboards on Android. Android's come a long way, and it used to be the case that I would always just say, well, iPhone's so much easier to use, that's its big advantage. I don't know if that's so much the case anymore. Certainly catching up, and then the addition of HTC Sense on this phone, helps. Speaking of Sense, you've also got in your contacts, trying to find some contacts here that don't actually show anybody's information. The contacts view much more sophisticated on the Droid Incredible. You can sync contacts up with online services like Facebook. It pulls people's photos either from your local storage. You can set it locally, or it'll pull them from places like Facebook. You can see here on Adam F., he's looking for somebody with friends with a goat farm. So there's this picture from Facebook, and then there's a new event from Facebook. That's not the kind of thing everybody's going to use, but you don't have to set it up that way. But, it's kind of neat if you're into the whole social networking thing. And so again, I'm not saying, it's very hard to say that one platform is better than the other at this point. I do think that, the choices that have been made are really playing out between iPhone and Android, or iOS and Android. And iPhone's really been based on, apps, even though originally they said, we don't need apps, we got the web. And then they quickly realized, no, apps are where it's at. And so it's all about the apps, whereas, Android has been all about the extendability of the actual operating system with the widgets. And here, we'll add a widget right here, with the widgets and the hooks into, syncing your contacts and all that kind of stuff. You can add all these different widgets. Or even things like when you take a picture and you go to the camera here, and we'll go to the pictures, and we'll go to that picture that I just took, and we'll do this on. So this is the picture that I just took on both devices. And, with the iPhone, you hit the share button, and you can email MMS, assign to a contact, use as wallpaper. With Android here, you've got, the options, Bluetooth, Facebook for Sense, Flickr, Gmail, Mail, Messages, Peep, Picasa, YouTube. So depending on your point of view, Android is either way more powerful, and every time you add a program to the phone, that, it'll automatically check to see if it can be integrated to something like a sharing service. So it's either way more powerful, or it's complicated and confusing. Like, why is it telling me, I can share it via Facebook or Facebook for HTC Sense? I know the difference because I'm a phone nerd. Does everybody know the difference? No. Is that the kind of thing that somebody's going to get confused by? Yeah, some people will. Some people will love the options. Some people will figure out how to customize it. Other people are going to look at this and say, this is confusing. I don't want a computer. I want a phone. Or I don't know, whatever they're going to say. I get confused about stuff, but not about this stuff. So, well, I probably do sometimes. But you get the idea. It's a different way of doing things. The flexibility of the power versus, it's still a little bit, like I said, the ease of use thing isn't so easy to say, but it comes down now to these more kind of granular discussions when you get into, really what do you want to do with the device. The app stores, the Android marketplace is certainly caught up, much more viable than it used to be. It doesn't have the quantity of the iPhone store. It doesn't have the presence of the Apple App Store. But in terms of usable apps, it depends what you're into. But you can basically find the apps that are going to run, on the Android phone. I think the Apple App Store, when you find a good app, no, it's just, they're just different. And in most cases, you can find what you want to do on either platform. For me, oddly enough, I'm not a huge app user. There were some running apps that I used, but I've since switched to use, not using my phone to track that stuff because the GPS is kind of unreliable where I live. Except that Garmin phone. That Garmin phone really lived up to its name with the GPS tracking. But But, you know, you're going to go through, you're going to find a lot of different apps. The actual store, I think, is a little bit slicker, a little easier to navigate and search through on the iPhone, you know, the Apple App Store. And then you've got the whole iTunes ecosystem if you want to buy music, whereas on Android, you know, you're looking at the Amazon MP3 store or some third-party services. But again, you know, when it comes down to it, it's very hard to pick a winner. For me right now, if I had to choose one, I would choose the Droid Incredible because it's more reliable as a phone. And even though, you know, I most of the time use my phone not for calling, between the network and the bugs on the iPhone 4, you know, it's just not, they need to do some work before I can say it's a reliable device for phone calls. That being said, for other stuff, for multimedia, I would go with the iPhone 4 because it got a better camera, better camcorder, better screen. The HD videos, if you have to do some janky stuff to get the full uncompressed HD video off the iPhone 4, but when you do, the quality, you know, is just really great. The iPod is still a nicer interface to use for me than the Android music player. But there's so many other options now. You know, maybe you don't listen to music locally from your device. Maybe you use, you know, Pandora or Slacker or something like that. If you're looking for kind of flexibility and power, I think the Droid Incredible is the way to go. If you're a geek, you know, you can do Google Voice on it. Just so many different things you can do. It doesn't have a front-facing camera, but you can install something like Fring or Quick to do video chat with, just using the back camera. You know, it's really, I say this a lot, and I don't mean to cop out, but it really comes down to what you want out of the device. And, you know, again, for reliability data use right now, I would go Droid Incredible on Verizon, combination of the device and where I would use it. For, you know, a pocket computer first, kind of, you know, or a multimedia device first, and then, you know, the phone functionality almost secondary, you know, it really, if you want kind of the slickness and it's ready to go out of the box, and you either like or don't mind the Apple ecosystem, iPhone 4 a little bit nicer to look at and use. If you want just the ultimate in power and extendability and customizability, you know, Droid Incredible, just watch that battery life, but there's so much you can do with it. I don't know, I hope that helps. Again, my pick right now, dude, you get one pick, I'm going Droid Incredible. But ask me again in 2 months, after hopefully some fixes come out for the iPhone 4 bugs, and maybe a fix for the Droid Incredible battery life bug, and maybe these things are back in the stores. Maybe there's more of these in the stores. Maybe they finally shipped the white one. You know, we're living in the age of beta products. It's a shame, but companies are shipping products, and maybe it's just they get more scrutiny because of the online, everybody's blogging about everything, but it just seems like more and more of these products come out with all this hype, and then there are bugs and problems, and I don't know, but the iPhone 4 has certainly had an inordinate share of complaints since its launch, so we'll keep an eye on that. Anyway, there you go. I do not think you can go wrong with either device. I really think you just need to figure out what you want to do, which network you want to do it on, and you know, which network performs the best where you are. Hope that helps. Much more on both devices on PhoneDog.com. Much more on the iPhone and iOS on today'siphone.com, and much more on all the droids over on DroidDog.com. Till next time, my name's Noah. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.